How's that frame? Looks good?
Yep.
Okay. Shalom, everybody. We're doing deep work this Passover. Everything about Passover now, obviously, is preparation, because we're not there yet. And as my Rabbi always said, when we want to hear a class about Passover, he'll probably say it this Thursday night when we study with him. He'll say, you know, we're all like, Rabbi, tell us something about Passover. He says to us, how could I possibly tell you anything about Passover? And we're like, you're the Rabbi. You're the one who knows, like, all of Torah. You know, tell us something about Passover. He says, but Passover hasn't started yet. I don't know anything about Passover. I mean, I could tell you about last Passover, but that wouldn't even give even the slightest indication of what this Passover is all about. It's the way my Rebbe lives. Like, he literally lives this way. And any holiday you'll ask him about, he'll just be like, I don't know why you're asking me. Meanwhile, he could give 1,000 hours of classes on Passover. But they would all be based on the past, and he doesn't live in the past. He lives only in the moment, and therefore, there's nothing he could say about Passover. You know, of course, then he goes on for the next 4 or 5 hours talking about Passover. You know, so he goes deep into Passover right after his brief introduction. Anyway, so we don't know anything about Passover, but we do know that it's coming, and it's coming a bit like a freight train, meaning it's going to be hard to stop it at this point. It's coming, and we all got to get ready. So there's various levels of getting ready. Sadly, for so many women, their preparation will be almost all physical. Although there's many holy women out there who, while they're doing the physical work, are connecting to the spiritual aspects of it. But for us lucky few who have this time off, and those who are watching and will watch as you wake up, as the East Coast wakes up. I think it's 8 a.m. over there. Got any people watching yet? 0 watchers? Why do I waste my battery for this? Just kidding. No, by the end of the day, there could be on the average, 300-400. By the way, if anyone wants extra schus or knows someone who needs a healing or anything like that, we donate boosts. So a boost is 75 shekels, about $17, and it goes to, it hits another 3,000 people per boost. So this is Facebook's way of making money, is we boost it. So anyone wants the boost, just hand me 75 shekels, and I'll pop out another 3,000 viewers for this video. And that can be any time, any day, if you want, you know. You need to get someone out of jail, or get someone out of the hospital, or get someone, you know, whatever you need, 3,000 more people watching a Torah class. It's good news.
He's not joking about the jail.
Yeah.
Oh, I know he's not joking.
Yeah, there's always Jews in jail. They should make a sitcom, Jews in Jail. The problem is somehow when Jews are in jail, it's knowing they're innocent. Like, you know how everyone's innocent in jail. It's hard to also feel that way about the Jews, because Jews are really good at staying out of trouble. So if a Jew finally got enough trouble that he's in jail, you understand what I'm saying? Like, Jews are just so good at staying out of jail that if a guy finally wound up in there, it gets a little hard to believe he's innocent. But jails in Israel are actually packed with Jews. And I always have a few students in jail, and I know the codes. I let them interrupt me at all times, which I feel so bad. Because, for example, dinner with my family, I do not let anyone interrupt, except if you're in jail. When I do let them interrupt, because I'm just thinking, I'm sitting here with my family while some dude finally got to the phone without getting raped, and he's all he wants to do is just speak to his rabbi for 5 minutes, and he would pay, if he had any money, $1 billion to sit at his dinner table with his kids. And so I'm going to sit here with my kids and not take the phone call. So that's where I do allow phone calls. So just everyone should know, if you ever wind up in jail, you can call me during dinner time. Just practical information. This is without painkillers. I see I'm already funny. Without painkiller, except she hasn't laughed even once. So just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. Now, I'm just messing with you. You don't have to laugh. Maybe I should have taken a pink. I was just afraid because I actually drove all the way up to the hotel. Like I literally got permission to drive all the way up. But, like they searched the underside of my car with mirrors to make sure I wasn't going to blow up the wall. It's kind of funny that it's such a high security place for a wall. You know, it's like if the Romans couldn't destroy it without any security, what do we think our little security guards are going to do?
Why?
Can you imagine being the terrorist who like went down as the guy who blew up the wall?
It's pretty cool.
I mean, how much dynamite would you need to blow up the wall? The guy would have to be like, just hold on, I gotta get my truck in here too.
Put it in the cracks.
The cracks.
Along with all the
There's just
letters.
a few cracks. People feel Friday night.
Anyway, but you just can't help but be filled with self-importance when you drive through that gate. You know, like you're driving through the most high security place in Israel besides maybe Ben Gurion Airport. It's very high security.
Not really.
I once showed up at dawn at 5 in the morning at Ben Gurion Airport, and I just kind of got flagged. I was lost. I got flagged through. Next thing I know, I'm like in the fog, in a fog bank, just driving around. All of a sudden, I realize, like the car in front of me, it's not a car. It's a 747 jet. They sent me right onto the tarmac. I'm driving around jets on the tarmac. I thought I was lost before. Try getting from a tarmac back to the parking lot. So I'm just like aimlessly driving around airplanes, trying to get back to the parking lot. I just want to park my car.
You trying to take that?
I feel so bad because I think someone got fired over this one. Because by the time they found me, and they're like, "Who the hell are you?"
So
You know,
were you trying to take off?
no, I just want to park. Anyway, and I totally missed the guy I was picking up because couldn't get off the tarmac. Anyway, I think someone got in a lot of trouble because when they found me, they were not even interested in me. I mean, once they realized I was just some lost fool, they got me to the parking lot, but they immediately went to the gate and like I saw them giving it. I mean, someone might have gotten fired at me. I was wondering why I was passing this like major security gate on the way into the parking lot. So, okay, listen up. So we're preparing for Pesach, and right now, let's just focus on now. Now is the search for chametz. I've got a lot of depth on the search for chametz, but the first thing I want to say about it is, and perhaps the most important thing, is that is just the chametz itself that we're searching for. It's totally OCD. It's totally over the top, and the shalom bayis issues, meaning peace in the home between husbands and wives, because we actually learn Shulchan Aruch as men, which tell us how to check the house, and then there's women with their own Shulchan Aruch when it comes to checking for Pesach. And so, I mean, I don't know if my wife thinks like any of us are going to be like licking the caulking in the bathrooms, or like we're somehow gonna like start chewing on our dining room chairs, you know, during the Passover Seder. And our chairs are not like, they're not particularly dirty, but like, you know, you can just imagine like, I don't know, one of my kids is like deprived of certain nutrients that only my chairs give, you know. So there he is gnawing on our wood furniture. You know, anyway, women have their own Shulchan Aruch when it comes to Passover, and the Rabbi, Rabbi Yitzhak Berkowitz, says that although you know it's insane what they're doing, we're not allowed to make fun of them, which I've been doing for the last few minutes. But meaning when I say not, he didn't say we're not allowed to make fun of them. We're not allowed to like make them feel bad. We're not allowed to make them feel bad for it. In the famous quote of I think it was, I hope I'm not wrong on this, Rebbitzin Feinstein said, she said to Reb Moshe, she said, with you and your Shulchan Aruch, we'll be eating chametz for Pesach. With you and your Shulchan Aruch. So, the Shulchan Aruch is obviously doing the whole B'dikas chametz is, I know we all forget this, but it's really just to make sure we don't eat chametz on Pesach. That's what we're doing. Now we're also checking for not having it found, because there's two separate commandments, Bal Yirah, Bal Yam, not say that it shall not be found in your premises. Okay, we're certainly doing that job, but that we're checking so carefully in all those little areas where it's no longer, and according to most opinions, you need a whole kazayas to be over balyor by matzah. Meaning you need a whole chunk of chametz to be to have transgressed possessing chametz. And so that for sure we're getting rid of, but that we're going into the cracks. That is to make sure we don't wind up eating any, because rabbinically you can't eat even a morsel of chametz, or even something mixed with a morsel of chametz. You're not allowed a morsel, like even the tiniest micrometer of chametz is forbidden on Pesach, rabbinically. Meaning if you wound up blowing it and you did wind up licking your furniture when no one was looking, you've only transgressed rabbinic law. You have not, the Torah laws, you actually have to eat a kazayas of chametz, believe it or not. A whole kazayas of chametz you'd have to eat. So, yeah. Believe it or not, because we're really crazy about this. The funny thing is that we're all willing to speak a little lashon hara, which is a Torah commandment. But like even you will not find in any of these Jews even the slightest crumb of chametz in their body on Pesach. Yet they won't let it in their mouth, but they don't mind letting it out. They'll let full Torah transgressions out of their mouths all the time. Now, but anyway, this OCD, insane search for chametz, where we're like completely going crazy over it. What's the deal? What's the deal? What is the big deal? And especially with something now, I'd understand if it was something like truly forbidden, like something forbidden like murder or something like pig or something like really forbidden. But we're talking about something that is perfectly permitted, just not this week. It's something totally permitted. Like we're searching for the permitted. It will be forbidden, but right now it's totally permitted. So like we're really going crazy over something that's completely mutter, which really gets weird. It's completely permitted. So like I understand Jews are like intense about their commandments, and they really are intense about the commandments that forbid something. For like for example, non-kosher food or shatnez, or doing malacha on Shabbat, like doing the 39 prohibited acts on Shabbat. I understand we're crazy about that stuff, and we should be crazy about that stuff. Right now, we're going crazy about something permitted. You're allowed that stuff. You can go ahead, that which is we're treating as the devil, you can actually just go right now to a pizza store and buy a slice of it. Right now. So it's like, what is our problem? Like, what are we doing? And not only is it totally permitted right now, but it's totally permitted all week. It's going to be permitted even Sunday. But come Sunday night, wow, even Sunday, Sunday's the 14th, right? So Sunday afternoon already it's prohibited, and then, but a week later comes the following Sundays. Go enjoy. Enjoy. And if you forgot a piece and you somehow left out a piece of chametz somewhere, you find like a little, little bottle of whiskey you forgot all about. It's a Johnny Walker Blue Label. Johnny Walker Blue Label. I don't know how much a liter of that costs, but man, it's a couple $100. It's like $250 or something.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
How much is it?
Expensive.
It's like that.
130,000.
It costs something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's forbidden, not only for you, but for any Jew. It becomes totally forbidden because it was not gotten rid of before Pesach or sold to a Gentile. So this is why we all have to watch out for certain beers. Like there's beer companies. First of all the Israeli beer companies, it doesn't matter how secular they are. They're not idiots. They want to sell their chametz so that for two reasons. One is they don't want to spiritually contaminate the Jewish people. Now, for those who don't believe in that, they don't want to lose all the rest of. They don't want to lose their clientele, because all the clientele that keep kosher are not going to want to get anywhere near their beer for basically the rest of the year. Because how are we supposed to know when the new beer came? How do we know what beer was made after Pesach? Afterwards, so we can't drink any of that beer. And of course, Sierra Nevada beer is owned by Jews, and some very, very wealthy Jews who I don't want to, as I said, I'm not going to speak about it, but let's just say, as of last year, they do not sell their chametz. So, Sierra Nevada beer, like, how are you supposed to know which ones were in the stores before, which ones in the stores after? Maybe some are sold on consignment, they don't get paid later. Meaning maybe they do ship massive amounts that only get paid later, so they're still really owned by Sierra Nevada in the stores. Like, how are you supposed to know? It's probably one of the biggest microbreweries in the world. Kind of defeats the purpose of the word micro in the word microbrewery, but it's probably the biggest macro brewery in the world, and they and owned 100% by Jews who are more interested in like Native American foundations than they are in their own tribe. But they do not sell their chametz, and therefore all those bottles of that delicious pale ale are completely forbidden to all Jews until their next batch comes out, when God knows when that is. You know, like, how are we supposed to even know? They're certainly not providing any information. You know, what are they? They seem to not care about these things. So, anyway, hopefully that clip will get to Sierra Nevada and they will wake up and start thinking about their own tribe for a change. Now, anyway, so we're making this giant deal out of something that's basically permitted the rest of the year, just not on Pesach. Chametz is about sheker. Chametz is about sheker. It's about falsehood, but a very specific kind of falsehood. The kind of falsehood that we all seem to love. Now I know, as King David says, Ohave Hashem sinu ra. The lovers of Hashem must hate evil. You want to love God? Gotta hate evil. You can't be indifferent about evil. You can't be neutral about evil. You cannot be parv about evil. Ohave Hashem sinu ra. You want to call yourself a lover of Hashem? You gotta hate evil with a consummate hatred, a white fire hatred for evil. Not very politically correct to say such things, but you got to be against evil. Totally against evil. Lovers of God hate evil. That's what God's saying. You love me? You know, it'd be like if you were married to someone who was like a hardcore Democrat or something, you know, and you know she doesn't want to be married to a Republican. You know, she wants to, and it's not just that. You can't just say like, I'm going independent or something, or you can't just say, I'm not into Trump. No, you got to get out there and protest Trump. You got to show, you know what I'm saying? Like to be married to her, you got to show her that you're going to make some kind of stand against Trump. And you want me to feel love? That's what it takes, she says. So it's the same thing with God. God who stands for good is saying that if you want to be in love with me, you gotta hate evil. You can't be impartial about it. You gotta be totally with 100% all of your body on the other side of the line. You gotta draw the line in the sand between you and evil, and you gotta be for good. To be a lover of God, which is kind of fun because all of us have this kind of inner zealot inside of us. We all want to, there's an excitement to all of us to like get all like fiery about evil and like against evil, which is cool. You get to let that part of you light up, which is fun, and feel all close to God because you hate evil, which is great. By the way, you should temper that around human beings if you don't mind. Whenever you're around people, you got to be very tolerant. And we always distinguish between the person, the being of the person, and the doing of the evil. So if I know someone who's doing evil, I distinguish what he does from what he is. I see him as good. I do not make him feel bad. I do not ostracize him. I do not make him feel somehow marginalized for his affiliations towards things that are not Judaism, that are not Torah, that are not godly. I always make him feel like the holiest person I ever met. Clear? It's just the evil he does that I would be that I would be strong about, and I may not even be strong to him about it because the Torah teaches us there's no point in coming out strong against someone who's not going to listen. So if the guy's not going to listen, so what I do is I send out big thick ropes of love, and then I pull him closer with those thick ropes of love. Do I ever flatter him whatsoever about the evil he does? Never flatter. Got to be very careful with my language. Very careful with my language. Even intermarriage, I will usually, almost always refrain from using the word wife, or husband. I'll say their name, Say, is Julie coming? Is Fred going to be there? I don't say, is your husband going to be there? Because it's almost a sense of like almost saying there could be such a thing as husband and wife. And by the way, some of the greatest couples I know are intermarried. They're amazing couples. Amazing couple. They're not husband and wife. Husband and wife is something for Mount Sinai. Souls that were at Sinai, they were there, and they experienced the giving of the Torah there. And then later they went through all kinds of soul transmigrations till that one soul split into 2 people, and then 5 people, and 20 people. And then 2 of those people met and married under the canopy, which is like Mount Sinai, and got back together as one soul to produce now more souls. It's the second time I mentioned morsels today. Morsels of clemency, more souls of the Jewish people. So and now they're creating more souls, and that's husband and wife. And just when I'm speaking to the person who thinks the person who thinks that I think he's the holiest thing since sliced bread, doesn't realize that I don't even use the word wife when I'm referring to his wife. I never use the word wife, because wife is reserved to the soulmates of Sinai. And I will not use those words, because Oyavei Hashem, Sinora, lovers of Hashem, hate evil, and I make sure that my blood is always boiling with hatred of evil. I'm close with the guys who scream on Shabbos. Did you guys know there's people who actually scream Shabbos at cars? It's kind of reserved for Jerusalem, but it's a unique thing of Jerusalem where people scream Shabbos at cars. Yeah, they have a lot of fun. You should know they're enjoying Shabbos probably more than anybody. And I can't imagine like the chillent they're missing, but it must not be very good, because they'd rather scream Shabbos at cars than like go home and eat with their family. Anyway, but one of them once said to me on the way home from shul, he says, Yom Tov, because he knew I had a house packed with guests. And it was in my younger days, when you're young and dumb and little kids, you can just pack your house with guests. And later when you got teenagers, you want to actually, invest in your teenagers. You don't want to be investing in your guests more than your teens. So, but back in my young and dumb days, which were the amazing Shabbos tables, amazing. My kids were like, it was like musical baby, like the baby would just go down everyone would hold the baby at different times, the toddlers, like everyone held a kid during the meal. But one of them once said to me, he says, Yom Tov, I know you don't scream Shabbos at cars. We were walking by, he had just gotten through screaming and a bunch of cars stopped at a red light. And now we were walking back towards our neighborhood, and he's like, Yom Tov, I know you don't scream Shabbos at cars, but I also know you hate people breaking Shabbos. Not the people, but you hate the breaking. You hate the fact that people break Shabbos way more than I do. See, it's easy for me to scream Shabbos, but you're actually spending hundreds of dollars every meal packing your house with people who don't keep Shabbos. You understand? And he got me. Most people think I'm actually having a good time in there. And I am, but that's the alcohol. I'm not like looking to fill my house full of strangers. It's that's not like the most exciting thing that ever happened to me is having strangers in my house. It's that I hate the fact that Jews don't keep Shabbos. But I also love Jews. And so if I can somehow turn them on to my Shabbos meal, and those Jews get so excited about what they see to the point where they'll actually start keeping Shabbos, what greater way to express hatred than through not the hatred of the people, hatred of, you understand, the doing, hatred of the doing of breaking Shabbos. What greater way to express that than packing my house with Shabbos guests? So, but the amazing thing was this guy who screams Shabbos, who sees me quietly walk by, and sometimes I actually walk up to the stoplights and say, I've got a Shabbos meal if you're interested. If you park your car, you can come on in. I've gotten a couple guys out of their cars over the years. Very few, but I've gotten a few people to park and come over for Shabbos. But don't be fooled when you see people who are professionals in outreach that they're actually doing this because they enjoy it. For the real ones, it's coming out of like intense expression of the pasuk of the Hashem Sinura, and also Avos Yisrael, to love all Jewish people and to pull them close to Torah like those thick ropes, because they're not going to listen to you if you tell them to stop doing what they're doing. But there's a subtle sheker that we're all involved in, myself included. After that whole 10 minutes on hating evil, now guess what? There is an evil we all actually do love. Sorry, there's a certain sheker that we all love. There's a certain sheker. And that sheker is external beauty. It's the external beauty of the world. It's very Yavan oriented. The Greeks were very much venerating external beauty. But there's something we love about external beauty. It's not true. It's sheker, but we do love it. For example, everyone think about your outfit today. Your outfit today, no offense, was totally unnecessary. Yours was necessary, but your outfit was relatively necessary. But definitely the women's outfits were unnecessary, and my outfit, basically necessary. All we need to do is protect our bodies from the cold. That's it. It's a cold day. You have to protect your body from the cold. If it's about snoot, you got to protect your body from exposure to people looking at parts of your body that are not available for perusal. But you are 100%. The truth of it all is that all you really needed today was just like one of those like trash man's jumpsuits. You ever seen trash man on a rainy day? Onesies, yeah. You just need it. That's all you needed. Or the soldiers wear those onesies too. Like, all you needed was a onesie. But we like our leather jacket or our Guatemalan psychedelic fabrics or our, or our button-down pinstripe shirts and our scarves from Guatemala and our whatever knitted sweaters and our little vest over there, whatever jacket you're wearing. Sorry, and it's not just that. And it's not just that. She's got the vest. It's not just that. Nice vest, by the way. I'm wearing a vest too, by the way. I don't go in here. She's like, great. I also got a vest on. You know why I wear my vest in the winter? For the pockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are giant. 6 pockets. I wear it all winter just for the pockets. Yeah, and every pocket's accounted for. Anyway, well, this sweater's got to get retired. I'm going to get rid of the sweater, I think, after Pesach. This thing's like totally gone.
Maybe your wife will get rid of it for you.
So, so anyone see my sweater? So,
Yes, go.
anyway, knowing me, I'll probably cut the buttons off first. Oh no, maybe poor guy will wear it. So maybe I'll keep the buttons on. No, because I have another sweater with the same buttons. This Shabbos, I ordered challahs. I'm not going to mention the bakery that baked them, but they were big and fluffy. And I sliced big, thick slice for my wife and I at the beginning, and took my bite, passed my wife some, and then it was like this thick and fluffy. I mean, it was the fluffiest challah you've ever seen. And you know what I did? I took that fluff, and all my kids are at the table. I took that fluff, and I took my other hand, and I pinched it down to as thin as a credit card. And it didn't take me more than like a second to do that. I mean, it was like boom, 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 boom. It was as thin as a credit card. Sheker. That challah is sheker. You understand? Chametz is sheker. The actual sustenance you're going to get from that food is what I pinched down. That's what's available there. None of the rest is available. Yet this big fat challah that I spent, a lot of money on, is just, it's just, hey Moshe, Shalom Aleichem. How can you teach a class on Pesach without Moshe in the room? The men's section's in the middle.
Someone just complimented your sweater.
You can sit where you What?
Somebody complimented your sweater.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, if you could feel it, it's cashmere, which is wonderful, and that's how we know we have mother-in-laws. Can you imagine how many sweaters Shlomo Melech had? Cashmere sweaters. He had 1,000 wives. That's automatically 1,000 sweaters every Thanksgiving.
700.
Right.
700.
So, what's that?
700.
700?
300 concubines, whatever the difference is.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
700 wives and 300 concubines?
According to Rabbi Spiro's book.
Whoa.
That's my source.
Did he just stick you this?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Whoa, I didn't know that either.
If it's a
I mean,
concubine,
do you know the
get
difference
them
between a
all.
wife and a concubine? It's basically just like the concubine doesn't get a ketubah, meaning she gets no rights whatsoever. She's basically a what do you call a concubine in English?
Is that prostitute?
It's not a prostitute. It's a relationship.
It's like a mistress.
It's a relationship with no strings attached whatsoever. But I'm wondering how he made that decision. Like, I'll take responsibility for this one, concubine. This one I'll marry. This one's concubine.
It was all
Like, how does he make his
I think it
choices?
was all politically related. That's all I know.
It was all politics. Yeah. No, he was smart. He made a mistake. He broke the Torah, but he was smart in that he, it's a very strong political move to make every king in the world your father-in-law. You know? It's like, how many wars are you going to get into when every king on earth is your father-in-law? You're like, Dad. It's like, don't you call me Dad. You made her a concubine and not a wife. We can arrange wife. So, anyway, it's sheker. Cake. Take a cake. Next time someone brings you a birthday cake, take they bring the birthday cake, a nice round cake. Take the cardboard that was under the cake and just put it on top of the cake and just say, it just says in my commitment to truth here. Push the whole cake down as hard as you can. Get someone to stand on it, just to really get it down thin, It'll be like brie or something, like sweet brie. And then once all the pressure's off of it, pull off the cardboard, slice it up, and now you're eating the emes of what's inside there. Can you imagine what would come out of that thing? But it just keeps going. Croissants, what's in there? Burekas, what's in there? There's nothing in any of this food. We're like eating air all the time. Now, this prohibition against chametz is to get to the emes. To get to the emes. I was just saying that I had the fluffiest challah this Shabbos from someone's bakery. I'll leave nameless. But it was delicious and fluffy, and the owner is a graduate of my seminar. So I should really give him a shout out. But I'm speaking negatively about his challah, so I refuse to say his name. Anyway, I was able to take a big fat slice like that and make it the size of a credit card, the thinness of a credit card. It's chametz. Because chametz is sheker. But we're doing it all over our lives. It's all over the place. I'm as guilty as anybody, I not really that guilty, but I'm a little guilty. Let me give you an example. I ran out of examples. I'm really not the guy to give this example because I'm just a surfer from California and I don't really, I'm wearing literally the same outfit I've been wearing for so long that I don't think it would be really proper to tell you. But I do change my undergarments regularly in case any of you were wondering. I'm just not the fluff guy.
Any drugs to the concept?
I am not the fluff guy. But maybe my payas would be a good example. If I didn't twirl my payas, now by the way, I don't really have to twirl them, I just have to brush them straight and then they all become friends and do this. But if I did have straight hair, I promise you I'd spend my time in the mirror twirling. getting them right. You know, I'd have to use gel and like get them twirled and stuff. I would do that. See?
Why?
Why? Because externally it would make the difference between me looking like this versus having like this like crazy pace everywhere it's a difference. It's a difference that would affect you differently. It would we would relate differently if my payas were like all over the place, totally like bedhead all day long. And there are people who actually go with their payas like that throughout the day. You will not be meeting them. But I'm not here to preach. I really am not, even though it sounds like I'm preaching. My wife has beautiful outfits. My daughters have beautiful outfits. It's great. You know, and I'll give you an example that if I'm choosing a bike, no, I always choose black. I just don't, I'm not the fluff guy. But you know what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a nice outfit or having a nice car. It's great. It's great. And I'll tell you the truth, that the car I drive, 90% of the cars they print in Israel of my cars are white. And I was very happy to get the charcoal gray. I just lucked out. Just happened to be exactly when I ordered it. They happened to have one of them. And I got it. And I like that. I didn't want the white minivan like all the others. I wanted a car that was unique. So I'm guilty there. I wanted the charcoal gray, the one other choice that just suddenly appeared. When we get married, we go dressed simply. The women go in white, the men wear a white tunic type thing called a kittel. His shoes are untied. They untie his shoes. His pockets are empty. Everything is just, there's nothing there. There's just nothing there. There's just your souls in there. I know people who got married who were lied to about who the person really was or what was really going on with them. And I'm dealing with these people 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, as a rabbi, counseling. They never got over it. They never got over the fact that they married chametz. They married the lie and only found out what was really going on afterwards, after the chuppah. And I guess the people who thought it would be okay, because they were afraid maybe they would stay single or something. And after all, they're not so bad. And they just figured, you know what, when the truth comes out, which is going to be literally 24 hours later, or a week later, or a month later, when the truth comes out, they'll realize, well, he's not so bad after all. It doesn't work like that. The whole foundation's crummy. And they have to remarry. I'm just remarrying a couple right now. They're married 8 years. All false pretenses. All the issues just were hidden, and they're only remarrying now. And Baruch Hashem, thank God for the work that she was happy to come do my work, but he was not. And we finally, Baruch Hashem, dragged this major businessman out of his multi-million-dollar business where he works 15 hours a day, and we got him to do the work I run. I run programs called the Passover. We got him in there, and you want to know something? He came back and did it again.
Wow.
On his own volition. First time forced, or else divorced. Second time came for his own volition. And by the way, I got a text this morning. Amazing thing that a woman came to heal her Crohn's disease. If you look up Crohn's disease, it's unhealable. And she just got her scope. She just got scoped, and she has no more Crohn's disease. And all she did was work really hard on the possible you. She worked really hard during the week, and then she worked really hard for about 3-4 months with the group that she did it with. They're all working very hard, and and she got rid of it. She's now clean bill of health on an incurable disease. Just got that text Erev Shabbos Friday. Yeah, I'm asking her to print her story, and I'm going to put it up anonymously online to be one of my testimonials. Anyway. Marriage has to be emes. It's got to be based on something true. So I'm using that as an analogy because what we're talking about right now is the genesis of our nation. This is the genesis of the Jewish people, meaning it's the absolute in the beginning of our nationhood. It's got to be starting on truth. It's got to be real. You want a big fat challah? Eat your big fat challah a week later. Okay? You want a fancy outfit? You want a nice designer sweater, or you want to drive a Porsche or an Audi or a Tesla or something? You want all that stuff? Not at the beginning. Not at the foundations. Something that's going to be a lasting relationship. It's got to be based on truth. And this is our nation's introduction as a nation to the planet. And for that reason, we got to get rid of the sheker and just get rid of all the stuff. It's a semi-sheker. Chametz is a semi-sheker. It's not the kind of sheker that is evil. It's the kind of sheker that people enjoy. It's what we have in common with the Greek world. The Greeks were all about it, but we also appreciate it. We don't venerate it. We don't bow to it, but we do certainly appreciate external beauty and stuff, and how things look. We like a little fluff in our lives. It's not a big deal. But it's not where you start. It's not the foundations. You want to start something brand new, you got to start really real. And if you start things really real, so then they've got a foundation. And once it's got that solid foundation, you can build 1,000 stories. You can build generations and generations and generations of amazing story upon story upon story. I'm using the word story, but the story of Israel can be built only off of truth. It's got to start with humble beginnings, with absolute simplicity. It has to be like God saying to Moses, like, take off your shoes, you're standing on sacred ground. Like, I want you to hear barefoot. I don't want any accoutrements, nothing between you and reality. Be real, be experiential, be in the moment. Like Moses, take off your sandals. Just stand here. Outside this window, Exhibit A is that's the Temple Mount out there. I doubt my camera's going to suddenly focus on it, but that's the Temple Mount out there. And the Kohanim also, when they were out there, everything had to be super simple. The outfits they wore, the clothing they wore was simple, and it was a specific number of clothing. I just forgot the number. Is it 4 or 5? Four. They wore 4 things. They had a trouser. You remember what the 4 things are?
Yeah.
Trouser, some kind of tunic they wore.
A belt and a hat.
A belt and a hat, and that was it. No shoes, no socks. You know what the Jerusalem stone's like in the winter? They were doing the service all winter long, barefoot up there. Whoa. They had a Kohen they had several Dr. Cohens. One was like a gastroenterologist because of the amount of korbanos they were eating was killer on their digestive systems. So they had a gastroenterologist, but they also had a general practitioner for colds because they were constantly exposing their feet to chilly weather. And the service goes on, meaning no matter what's going on, it's freezing out, it's snowing out, it's raining out. It's like it didn't matter. You cannot wear shoes up there because this is the place of truth. And there's nothing between you and truth. You got to get it down to matzah, flour and water. A lot of us look at matzah in the wrong way. We look at matzah as these, like, either you eat the hand stuff, which Jerusalemites eat, the big round ones. Your Shalmis eat those big round ones, or you have the square ones. But we just look at it wrong. And the way to look at a piece of matzah, let's just say this is, can I borrow that piece of paper? Let's just say this piece of paper is a matzah, yeah? we've been looking at it like it's square matzah, or we got the round matzah. But the actual way you're supposed to look at the matzah is like this. That's the way you look at it. Right? See, if we've been looking at it like this, so like this is more the chametz, to where like things are obscured. But actually, when you hold a whole piece of paper right in front of your face, or your whole matzah in front of your face, I do this every Pesach with my matzah, and I look at all my guests, and you see all of me. It's it's just flour and water. There's no other ingredients, just flour, water. It's truth, it's reality, basics. Take off those shoes. You know how many shoes a woman can own? I have 5 daughters and a wife. And it's shocking how many pairs of shoes are inside my house.
Wow.
And again, I'm not here to brag, but I'm wearing the shoes that I own, you know, and I've been wearing this same pair for now, it's been about a year. And the pair I wore before this, I managed to wear for like 3 years. But I think it was because I had sentimental issues with them, because I just love the guy who took me to get them. He took me to get these shoes. He told me I would love them, and I bought them and I loved them, and I wore them for 3 years just because I couldn't get over the guy who got me the shoes. I mean, I bought them, but he set me up to buy them, and I just loved them so much that I had to stay with. But I bought the exact same shoes. I've been there for like a year now, and they're also my Shabbos shoes, and they're my weekday shoes. And I wish I wish I was the type of guy who could have a special pair for Shabbos, but I'm not that guy. One pair of shoes. So, anyway, but it's really back to basics. Back to basics. Like we're building our foundations, and it's got to start with truth. Can't start with fluff. No fluff. And you know, there's something very beautiful about the Yerushalmi weddings. I've always wanted to have them. My dream was to have Yerushalmi weddings for my kids, but so far I've married off one daughter and failed miserably at having a Yerushalmi wedding. It was like, you know, like 1,000 people in a big hall in Bnei Brak with you know, a 7-piece band or whatever. It was like insane situation, which I can't, you know. I don't know where I got an American family from, because I moved here as a single man, married a girl from like the simplest possibilities, but our kids are full on American, you know, like Hasidim, and they whatever. But the Yerushalmis, they don't even have a band at their weddings. And they, in my neighborhood, I'll give you an example. They have a drummer. They just have a drummer because of the remembrance of the temple destruction. They just have a drummer. And then a choir. I mean, it is a full choir, but it's a choir with a drummer. And you know, I can't say those are the most exciting weddings I've ever been to, and especially as a musician, I have to say that it does lack in its musical entertainment. Not to mention any alcohol served or anything else that's usually fun at weddings does not exist at those weddings. But what does exist is the holy couple. The holy couple exists, and they really begin to exist so powerfully because their simple beginnings are so real and so pure that it's an easier match altogether, an easier beginning, and a real truthful, it's a real basic beginning. My neighborhood where I live, most of them have passed away already, but when I moved there 23 years ago, all the white bearded men there and all the elderly ladies were married in my courtyard where I actually have my sukkah. Anyone's been to my sukkah parties. That was the chuppah on Fridays. Because who had the money? Who had the money? And who's going to borrow the money? Why would anyone go into debt just because your kid's getting married? And they would just go out to the courtyard, set up a chuppah. Anyone who had a guitar or a drum or a pan to banged on it. And they made the chuppah on Friday around noon. They danced a little bit after the chuppah. Everyone went home and ate their meal at their house. Why should this guy pay for everyone to eat? He doesn't have the money. He's a rabbi. He was just Torah teacher. So everyone would go home and eat. And then after that, they would all get together. Leil Shabbos. And there certainly was no band. It was Leil Shabbos. They'd all get together Shabbos night after their meals, and they would dance the night away. The rest of the night. It's just dancing the whole rest of the night. And that's how everyone got married in my neighborhood. I always threaten my kids, if they don't behave. I said, if you don't behave, you're going to get married on the bore. And they call it the bore because it's actually the actual courtyard is a cistern of water called a bore mayim. So I said, if you don't behave yourself, you're going to be getting married on the bore. My kids are like, no, on Friday afternoon, no. So the but you meet these couples years later, and they just seem more solid than the people married on fluff. How many couples have I counseled where you get a lot of wealthy people who marry wealthy people, and it's just fluff marrying fluff. Now, of course, some of those people are real B'nai Torah, they're really amazing, and the kids are B'nai Torah, and it's really beautiful, and it's wonderful. But there's so much fluff going on over there. It's like, and they're both going to wake up to each other every day, and there's no fluff when you wake up to someone. So why don't we just skip the fluff and get real? Let's make the actual foundation real. Let's make the foundation real, and let the fluff come late at Sheva Brachos or something. But the whole fluff thing is like, it's not real. I enjoy a beautiful wedding. I enjoy the bands, and I was just at a wedding with 3 bands. It's amazing. You ever been to these super fancy weddings? 3 bands, all top name people. It was great. The 3rd band, they ripped away the mechitza and brought up 5 black dudes who were ripping the Earth, Wind, and Fire set. Oh my gosh. All of us Baal Tshuva rabbis, or a bunch of Baal Tshuva rabbis, we all kind of went to the sides, we're not going to hang around a dance floor without a mechitza, but we're of course in the sides, in our own little pockets, yeah, right? Not mine. We're all rocking out to Michael Jackson over there, yeah. But again, you want the foundations to be real. Okay, you guys got class 1, installment 1? Installment 1. That was installment 1. We're going to go each day. Wednesday will be at 2 p.m. And we're going to go, we'll go much deeper. Today I kept it kind of fluffy. Light and fluffy. But we'll be getting into the depths of things as we go and working on ourselves. You have a question?
No.
Were you going like that?
I was getting ready to hit the finish button. I
Oh,
was waiting.
anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Any questions online?
Yeah, wasn't Shlomo HaMelech not supposed to have so many wives?
Yeah, that was his big mistake. He paid dearly. You'll notice that we don't even know where he's buried because he was exiled hardcore and dragged across the planet in some totally weird sci-fi situation. And it went really bad. And it was all because of that. Yeah, so he made that mistake. I think your question's better is how did Shlomo make such a mistake? And how did someone as holy and righteous, wise as Shlomo make such a mistake? I don't have the answer for that, but it's the end of class, so shalom.